Clowns have always carried death on their shoulders, from the man who once traded laughter for his life, to the first who painted joy onto his own decay. Welcome to One Up the Annals, the Halloween special. Tonight, we pull back the velvet curtain on the oldest joke that never stopped bleeding. Clowns. I'm Rab Greeson, your original influencer, the fool who never learned when to stop smiling. Some call me the jester of the damned, the ringmaster of regret, but tonight I'm just another mime in the dark, hoping you laugh before they do. Every grin you've ever seen under grease paint was a prayer, a bargain, and some were paid in blood. This is where the laughter hurts and history bleeds through the makeup. Tonight's dark horror clown disclaimer. This episode drags a little too much truth through the dirt. Broken bones, painted smiles, laughter that starts human and ends like somebody's trying to remember how. I am only a mimus, your clown, your servant in the mask, forced to paint history with a grin and hope the emperor in you finds it funny, or frightening enough to spare me. Because every clown before me learned the same lesson. When the laughter dies, so do we. The stage remembers, the paint remembers, and the dead are listening, waiting for their cue. So if the show falters, if silence falls, well, you've heard how it ends for the last one who failed to amuse. Consider this your warning. The tent is open, the music plays, the paint is on. Let the clowns decide which of us gets to leave smiling. Evil clowns, let's go. The Sacred Jester. Before the circus, before the grease paint smile, the fool began his act in chains. In ancient Rome, they called him the mimus, the mocker, the living mirror. He was no free man. He was a slave, a criminal, a disposable body forced to dance for the divine. Roman actors, including the mimi, held a very low social status and were often considered infamies, which meant no basic civil or legal rights. They'd mime tragedy for the pleasure of those who made it. They mocked kings, martyrs, and gods, a performance balanced on a single heartbeat. If the emperor laughed, he lived. If not, then the play ended the Roman way, with blood as applause. Sometimes they were dragged from the stage and beaten until the sand looked like it was bleeding out. Sometimes they were forced into the next act, damnatio ad bestias, cast naked before lions to replay their comedy for beasts who never laughed. Then there was poena colle, penalty of the sack. They were sewn into sacks with dogs, snakes, or monkeys. A punishment once reserved for parricides, the murder of a parent or close blood relative. But cruelty loved variety. Once sealed in, the sack was thrown in the river or the sea. The idea was symbolic. The killer of family was denied both air and earth, dying in a liminal space with beasts rather than humans, a total erasure from society. So the first clowns wore paint not for joy but for mercy. A mask of laughter to hide the terror beneath. To be funny was to live one more day. To fail was to feed the crowd. And from that arena, the fool walked into history, still painted, still trembling, still hiding the fear with a painted smile for the ones who held his leash. Every painted grin begins in the dark. The man who broke for laughter. When the fool crawled out of the arena, he carried the mask with him. And by the 1800s, that mask had found its messiah, a man named Joseph Grimaldi. He was the first to paint his face bone white, lips red as blood, eyes blackened like hollow sockets. The crowd adored him. Kings, paupers, children, all came to laugh. But behind the curtain, the laughter was paid for in flesh. Every pratfall was a wound, every somersault was a gamble. He broke ribs for cheers, shattered his knees for encores. He bruised himself into legend. By 40, his body was a ruin. He could barely stand without pain, yet he still painted the grin, still bowed before the roar of the crowd. They called him Joey. He called himself a ghost. He once said, "I am grim all day, and I make merry at night." Charles Dickens visited him near the end and wrote how the man who made the world laugh had nothing left of his own. He performed until his bones collapsed beneath him. His laughter became a phantom echoing through morphine and gin. By 50, he could only perform sitting down, a man crushed by the very joy he created. When Joseph Grimaldi died, they buried him in full costume. White face, red smile, eyes blackened once more. They painted him in death the way he lived, pretending the show could go on. And maybe it did, because the clown didn't die with him. The mask simply learned to live without its man. The American smile. When Joseph Grimaldi's painted corpse was lowered into the earth, the world didn't bury the clown. It exported him. The New World wanted a wonder, not tragedy, so they built tents, filled them with beasts, and crowned the fool as the king of laughter. The clown became harmless, jolly, a salesman for joy. White grease turned to red noses. Children clapped, adults sighed with nostalgia. The smile was everywhere, on posters, candy boxes, street parades. The ghost had learned to sell popcorn. But innocence doesn't last forever in America, does it? Because the mask never forgets what it was made for. In the 1970s, the smile cracked. A man named John Wayne Gacy painted his joy in red and blue and called himself Pogo the Clown. He entertained children by day, and at night, he became the monster everybody praises and adored. 33 lives later, the American smile was unmasked. The face that was once used by Grimaldi to make people laugh at his expense was twisted by Gacy into something even the damned refused to claim, to make himself laugh. And his last words? Kiss my... And ever since, the world hasn't laughed the same way. The clown returned to its origin, not as a joke, but as a warning. Every clown you've ever seen carries that inheritance. From the mimus who danced for his life, to the man who died for applause, to the one who smiled through murder. The face changes, the hunger doesn't. You want to know why you fear clowns? Why every painted grin feels like it's breathing? Because the clowns aren't just men in masks, they're graves that demand to stand. The first of them were slaves, Roman mimus forced to make gods laugh while chains bit their wrists. When the laughter stopped, so did their hearts. Then came the jesters, the fools who mocked their kings and paid for the punchline with their tongues. And when they died, none of them went quietly. Their spirits clung to the paint, the bells, the grease, all that suffering soaked into the costume like blood into linen. That's what you see, what you feel, the tortured souls. The laugh they want from you, they mimic, teaching you, telling you, demanding from you. Your soul knows it, your body feels it. The clown needs it. Every clown since is just another mask over their pain, another costume over their broken and chewed up bones. They wear our joy like stolen skin. The mimus, the jester, the revenge-seeking performer. They all still live inside the grin, pounding on the inside of it, begging to be let out. That's why we fear them, because they remember what we made them do. We laughed while they bled, and now they want the laughter and the silence to stop. When you see a clown smile, it isn't amusement, it's hunger. They're reaching through the paint, through your aura, through the air around your heart. They want back what was taken from them. Your breath, your warmth, your life. That's why the room feels colder when they appear. If you don't laugh, it reminds them of their torture. That's why their laughter sounds hollow. It's not laughter anymore, it's memory clawing its way out. If you laugh, it saves them, but if you don't, It reminds them of their torture and demise, and that breeds their revenge against those who didn't laugh. So if you ever dream of one or see one, don't move. Don't let it see that you're still alive. Because the souls behind that smile are tired of pretending and want to rest or seek revenge, and all that gaze upon them will decide its next performance. But if you ever see more than one, run. Don't look back, even when you hear the laugh grows louder and the hand upon you. I've been your host, Rab Greeson. This is One Up the Annals. Happy Halloween. Good night.